So, hey everybody, it is your favorite stylist here. It is Melanie Day with You've Got Curls and Hair Loss Center. And today I have a very special guest. Very excited to have Miss Mia Wilson. She is a graduate of Ross School of Business, which is at the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor. And she's also the owner of Innovending, which is the vending company for beauty products at the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor. So today we're going to be talking about women in business, and Mia is my first guest for this month. So how are you doing, Mia?
Great. Thanks for the beautiful introduction, Melanie. Super excited to have this conversation today and just spread awareness and inspire whoever looks at this video and answer any questions as well.
For this conversation with you and I, we're going to be talking about like women in business. And I think what really caught my attention about you was the project that you and your partner Rico were able to accomplish at the University of Michigan with the beauty product vending machine. That is phenomenal. And you and I have talked about it a bit back and forth as far as just the process and how you've been able to help students on campus. But what got you involved with business? Like, why do you like being an entrepreneur? We'll just kind of go that way.
Yeah. So in 2018, well, I'll start from the beginning. I always tell this story, it's kind of funny. I've always had like an entrepreneur spirit within me. Um, and I started to think about this more recently, but as a child, I had a group and it was just like a bunch of girls that were on my street. We kind of teamed up together and made this girl empowerment group is what it would be called today.
Yes.
And what we would do with this group was we would have candy sales, yard sales, lemonade stands, like all the whole nine for different events and things like that. So I kind of started that group. I believe I was 10 years old. We would have those lemonade stands every year. We would get about $500 from the lemonade stand every summer. So I think my entrepreneur spirit and me being a little woman in business started as young as 10 years old, probably before that. So I kind of like attribute my ambition and kind of like my entrepreneurship to that. But more recently, in 2018, I started a business named My Sister's Hair Extensions, LLC. This was after the passing of my sister. She had leukemia and she was always interested in business. Like she was interested in business, but also interested in the beauty side of things. She would always do my mom and grandmother's hair. She would do my hair. She would be up all night watching YouTube videos, doing makeup, doing hair. And during this time, so this was around the time I was in middle school, high school, when she was, like kind of like going through looking at all these videos and becoming sort of like a mini beautician. She was even going to like beauty school. It was crazy. But during this time, I wasn't too much into the beauty side of things. Like I knew how to do my hair and I get my hair done and I'll get my makeup done for special occasions, but I was more so into running track and basketball and things like that. So, but yeah, so my sister, she was interested in the beauty side of things. And as she started, or when she developed leukemia and she was in the hospital, one thing that she told me and my mother was she wanted to get better. She wanted to get out because she wanted to have her own beauty salon. And she was like, I want to have a beauty salon in the front, a hair salon in the back. I want to have food on this floor. And we're just like, that's like an awesome idea, but I can't wait for you to, get this in fruition and you can see this actual idea become reality. Like I said, she passed away in 2018. So just like with that background, that's what kind of motivated me to start my own business, because I wanted to make her dream come true, which was that beauty salon and, the people doing hair and, a beauty supply store, all of that. To make her dream come true. So that's why I named the company My Sister's Hair Extension. I know that was a long-winded kind of answer.
That's okay.
Yeah, I named it My Sister's Hair Extensions LLC, in remembrance of my sister. And I started off selling wigs and hair bundles, hair products, and things like that
Mhm.
to women
Okay.
in order to grant no, in order to build a following first and then kind of like work my way up to getting that beauty salon. Along the way, I discovered kind of like another innovative passion and a problem that I wanted to solve as far as with Innovending and the beauty supply vending machine. So it's still, in that beauty realm.
Yeah.
Um, and actually our bundles are going inside of the vending machine. That's
Yeah.
another story for a different day. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of how I started in business to how I got into the beauty industry and to how I got it into the beauty supply vending machine. I guess I should expand a little bit more on that one. So with the beauty vending machine, I was a student at the University of Michigan, which is in Ann Arbor, a
Mhm.
predominantly white town. University of Michigan is a predominantly white institution, and Black and brown students, Black students specifically, only make up 4% of the student population. So
Right.
that's about less than 3,000 students who are Black on campus. Um, because of this, because we were the minority, we
Mhm.
found there were a lot of areas where we kind of lacked resources that we needed,
Mhm.
especially hair care products, hair
Right.
resources. It was very hard to find hairstylists on campus, very hard to find different products on campus. So my partner is Rico Zuna Harrison. We decided to resolve this issue by putting beauty products inside of a vending machine. We put them in a vending machine, one, because it would be convenient for students,
Mhm.
more accessible, and they could access the vending machine, 24 hours throughout the day. So that's kind of how we got that idea. Sorry for the long-winded answer again.
No, no, no. Like I said, this is story hour. I love it. So going back to like how you started, I know like our backgrounds are kind of similar in a sense, like with entrepreneur. For myself, I don't know like if you guys had this in Michigan, but down here we have a program called Junior Achievement, right? And
Mhm.
so it's like for elementary school or for school age, and they kind of introduce kids to business. And that was how I was formally introduced to it at school. But for myself, I was raised up in an entrepreneur family, you know.
Mhm.
So my parents used to own a salon. They also used to, sell hair products and travel on the road and have different areas for that. So I was kind of like on the back seat seeing all this growing up, but at the same time having my Barbie dolls and, messing with their hair and trying to figure things out. So I remember when I was in high school, like I actually sold makeup, not Mary Kay, but I sold a makeup line called Sasha Cosmetics. And if you're familiar with Sasha Cosmetics, they're known for their buttercup powder, which is like a setting powder.
Mhm.
And they were like the official makeup line for Miss Universe for like 2 years in a row back in the late 90s. And this is like way before Fenty. This is probably where Rihanna got her inspiration from because they're actually from Trinidad and Tobago. But anyway, that's kind of like my story. And going back to what you were saying earlier, with me being behind the chair for almost 17 years, I work with a variety of textures and people from all walks of life. And when it comes to students, I've had my fair share of student athletes, students on campus that are traveling to see me. They're from out of state, they're from your neck of the woods, from Michigan, and they're used to having access to everything. But then when they come to smaller towns, like they don't know where to go. And so trying to figure out, how can I, as a salon professional, make life a little bit easier for students on campus? And, it's there's nothing new about vending machines. Vending machines have been around for a long time. I mean, you go to Japan, it's everything is in a machine, you know. But the concept that yourself, myself, and then like some others that are, that are slowly the slow movement of entrepreneurs that are latching onto this, it's a beautiful thing, because you and I realize that it's more than hair. This
Mhm.
is bigger than hair. And to be seen and to be at a school that recognizes your needs is a big deal. So that's something that's really special. And I'm excited, for both of us to kind of be on this journey in different areas. But at the same time, kind of ground level, because we're both kind of like pioneering the way in different arenas for others, because there's been a lot of questions. I'm sure you get a lot of questions and I get a lot of questions as far as like, how does that work? So I wanted to kind of go into the process of, talking about how to properly structure your business. And I think this is something that we as a community probably don't really talk about a lot. I know for sure during COVID, there was a lot of money to be had. But what was happening, a lot of us weren't able to get those sort resources because we didn't have our finances together. We weren't properly set up as an LLC. A lot of the money was coming through to businesses that were LLCs, you know. In order to qualify for the EIDL loan, you had to have your credit together. If you had bad credit, you couldn't get that loan. And so, there was a lot of barriers. So what can we talk about that? Like, what were some of the barriers that you had, maybe just kind of getting into business? Did you have any mentorship, Mia?
It's a good question. No, starting out, I didn't have a mentor, and I wish I did.
Yeah.
Because I kind of learned things along the way as far as how to set up your business correctly, you know, a correct business address, because that's very important.
Yeah.
Um, how to set up your business correctly so you can get funded by lenders.
Yeah.
Those are all things that I kind of had to learn along the way. So I did back in 2018. At that time, I was 18 years old, and I kind of got on my computer, and I think I had a little bit more like ambition and motivation to start up, especially because it was for my sister. And I was like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna figure this out. I don't know. I don't care how long it takes. I'm gonna figure this out. So I got on the computer and kind of researched what I needed to do to become a business.
Yeah.
Um, I got my LLC formed. I got that EIN number. I got a DUNS number.
Wow.
I totally just researched all of these things as an 18-year-old, just trying to make it happen. So that was, in my younger days, and I wasn't as, I guess, advanced and mature with business as I am now.
Mhm.
And of course, with that, it comes mistakes that you that you make. You kind of learn things the hard way with business credit and, trying to get funds from lenders and different companies and things like that. You learn, along the way that, okay, I didn't know that I can't put my home address on my LLC formation documents. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't know that, or, oh my goodness, I didn't know that I had to have a DUNS number. How do I get a DUNS number? What the heck? So it's kind of things that you learn along the way as a business owner. But definitely wish I had a mentor. I will say, so I don't come from a family of entrepreneurs or individuals who have had businesses.
Okay.
Um, so my mom, I'll say they've had businesses, but they weren't set up the correct way. Kind of like what you were talking about previously with in the pandemic. People had businesses, people were doing things, but they weren't set up the correct way.
Right.
So I kind of learned these things on my own. But back to today, as a kind of like more advanced business owner, this isn't with Innovending, it's not my first business. It's probably my second or third one that I've no, probably my third or fourth one now.
Okay.
That I know, sorry, that I've kind of like set up and really have, put my all into and grew a passion for it.
Yeah.
One thing that I will say about it is, well, I think being in business school, so I started business school in June of last year, and I'll be finishing up in April of this year. I will say being in business school has taught me a lot, and it's definitely helped. So I'm a first generation college student from undergrad, first generation grad student. So I think you can find a lot of knowledge online by just researching on your own, but the knowledge that you get from, certain universities and, business schools is kind of like next level thinking that
Yeah.
like things that you wouldn't have thought of before, especially by being in a classroom with, individuals who are from all different walks of life. I have people
Mm.
in my classrooms who, already they have startups that are making $2 million a year, or, I have individuals in my classes who are, maybe they've already started, um, their career and they, have some crazy VP title, but they just wanted to come back and get an MBA,
Yeah.
or, kind of like, grow their business acumen and things like that. So I think being in business school has taught me a lot. Research was very helpful and all that, but this business school and just being in the classroom with so many different people and different thinkers has really kind of elevated how I think as a businesswoman. And I'm really appreciative for that.
Yeah, I mean, I think exposure, I mean, there's some things that money can buy you, and there's some things that money can't buy you,
Mhm.
and those connections and that exposure and different points of view, I mean, that's important.
Right.
That's really important. And I know for myself, like I don't have a undergraduate degree, from any university or college like that. I don't have a business, background, but I've surrounded myself with people that are way smarter than me,
Mhm.
and fortunately I've been around good people, because like you and I have had this conversation before, it can be really dicey. It can be
Mhm.
very dicey. And especially when you're starting out and you're trying to maneuver your way around, and you've got people, it's like, yeah, 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 I'll help you, I'll do this for you, this, that, and the third. But at the same time, like they're kind of stabbing you in the back, or they're kind of sabotaging situations or whatever. Or you find yourself spinning your wheels.
Mhm.
And that, I think, is the biggest thing, because and this is what I learned from another advisor of mine. She was telling me, she's like, Melanie, I have strategies for everything. She's like, you have to have strategies in place. You have to have systems in place for everything. She's like, I don't function without any type of system. Like, okay, well, teach me your ways. I need to know how you do the system so I could do things correctly, because that makes things a lot easier. And I know for myself, and when you're first starting out, you don't have the money. You don't have the money for a marketing team. You don't have the money for an assistant. You're doing everything by yourself. You're wearing all these hats,
Yeah.
and you're still trying to look put together.
Mhm.
And then when you do get a little bit of cash, I'm like, no, I want to hold on to that. And I'm kind of a control freak. They don't know how to do this like I do.
Mm.
And that was one of the biggest things that I had to learn, was learning how to delegate and learning how to trust other people.
Mhm.
And because otherwise I would never be able to scale. I would never be able to expand or to do different things that I want to do, because I'm stuck
Yeah.
doing.
No, that's a
Yeah,
word. That's a word.
yeah, yeah.
Like,
And
that's so
so yeah, I learned that early. And I remember, I'll tell you a story. When we were talking about trying to get money, right?
Mhm.
All I needed was $10,000, which is not a lot of money. It's a lot of money, but then it's not a lot of money. It's a credit card if you think about it. But so anyway, I needed $10,000, and this is probably about maybe 7 years ago. Not a lot of money. And so you go to the bank, and what do they want? They want your P&L. They want your profit and loss. They want your balance sheet. They want your 3 years worth of taxes. They basically want to see all of you. And so I remember this like yesterday. I went to the bank, and I went to specific banks that are known for working with small businesses. So I went to the bank, and I give him my information, and he says, well, I'm sorry. I didn't have a lot of collateral, because that's what they want. They want collateral. And then B, because of the amount that I was wanting, which really wasn't a lot, they couldn't get the interest off that 10 grand. If it were, if it were higher, maybe that'll be a little bit different. But 10,000 wasn't a lot for them to make money off of. So I was denied. And so I'm like, oh, man, like I'm never going to get this money. And
Mhm.
so I remember, like, I applied to some like loan thing online or something like that. And once again, I uploaded my taxes, and I'm pretty sure, like, I never heard from them. And so I'm thinking like, okay, like I feel so violated right now because they literally took everything from me. Like they have everything, like my entire life is in front, my taxes. And so that was when I really learned, I said, you know what, I'm just going to do things the right way. And my mom had always told me about the Women's Business Center, which is a part of the SBA, or is affiliated with the Small Business Administration. That's how they get their funding.
Mm.
And it's free. I mean, it is 100% free. And to be honest with you, that is where I've gotten a majority of my business counseling from, has been from the SBA, the Small Business Association, the Women's Business Center, or the Small Business Development Center, which all fall under the SBA. And there's so many free resources out there. I want people to know there are so many free resources out there that you don't have to pay. You don't have to pay, but it's just knowing where to go. So was that how it was for you?
Yeah, and you just taught me something. I do utilize SBA
Mm-hmm.
for, they have a lot of information about starting up and
Yeah.
creating a business plan. Let me just say, like with my first business, as an 18-year-old, I didn't create a business plan. I
Yeah.
didn't have, I had a mission statement, I had a vision, but I didn't do all the back footwork, foundational work that I should have.
Yeah.
But after looking at the SBA 4 years later, or 2 years later, I should say,
Mhm.
um, I was like, wow, they teach you how to write a business plan. They teach you how to pitch your idea,
Yes.
elevator pitch. They teach you how you can get your LLC form, like grants, and all of those things. So I have utilized, SBA quite a bit, but also there were a lot of organizations on campus at my school, University of Michigan, that kind of helped entrepreneurs start their businesses and start their ideas.
Yeah.
And the great thing about the organization that I was in, which was called Optimize, yes, it's for students at the University of Michigan, but they
Yeah.
have also expanded to open their arms up to, you know, people who aren't students,
Yeah.
or um, students that are at community colleges but have some type of connection to University of Michigan. So they've kind of like opened their arms, and they're really trying to help people start businesses, and help people turn their ideas into what they say is turn their ideas into impact, turn their ideas into
Yeah.
something tangible, that they can be proud of, and something that they can grow and expand. So
Yeah.
that's kind of been my experience with it. So SBA, I'm going to look into the Women's Center, like you said, that's
Okay.
something new. But the SBA has been very helpful. And then just networking
Mhm.
and finding individuals who are in the industry that I want to be in, or have, maybe they're not in the exact industry, but have some type of business knowledge, and connecting with them, having coffee chats, getting on a phone call,
Uh-huh.
doing things like that to kind of like pick their brain, and, you know, take what I like from what they're saying, and, incorporate it in my business somehow, or take that and try to, fix whatever mistake I had, something like that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of been my experience with it.
I like that. So, a lot of now since you were talking about like your sports, like you were track and basketball, so a lot of athletes are getting into the whole NIL, name, image, likeliness thing. Like a lot of athletes are going down that route of entrepreneurship, of branding themselves
Right.
and having their own merch and things like that. So from a student's perspective, what advice would you give um, what advice would you give to a student, especially like a young female entrepreneur that's still in college,
Mhm.
that she doesn't have to be an athlete, but she wants to start a business? Like what advice would you give to a college student that's wanting to start a business?
Um, Depending on the college, I know a lot of colleges are starting to develop entrepreneur programs at
Mhm.
their campuses, at their universities, colleges.
Mhm.
Um, and something that helped me, as an undergrad, was taking those entrepreneurship classes.
Mhm.
Um, and then they have a bunch of like startup pitching competitions.
Yes.
They have a lot of organizations on campus that help students build their businesses, and they give students like counseling and mentorship, and they give them feedback on their idea, what they should do, what they should change, what they should keep. So
Yeah.
definitely look within your campus to find resources for entrepreneurs and small businesses, because most of the time they are there.
Okay.
um you just have to kind of like ask around, do a little bit of digging and research. If your
Mhm.
school has a, entrepreneurship program or entrepreneurship organization on campus, a lot of the times they are, trying to help small business owners. Not
Right.
only trying to help small business owners, but providing them with resources that they have in their toolkit to give, share with everyone. So that could be counseling, that can be grants. A
Yeah.
lot of the time they have grants. And I'm an advocate for grants because it's money that you don't have to pay back.
Right.
Once you get it, it's like, okay, I have this $10,000 grant and let me, invest this in whatever part of your business you want to. So I'm definitely looking within your campus to find resources. Another thing that has helped me um, specifically was there are a lot of resources within your county. So I live in Michigan. I'm from Clinton Township, Michigan.
Mhm.
Um, my sister's hair extension is a business registered in Clinton Township.
Mhm.
And because I'm registered in Clinton Township, I'm not sure, depending on the state, you may or may not have townships and counties and things like
Right.
that. But there was one year they were like giving away grants to businesses. I can't remember the reason. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna apply for this. I had no grant writing experience.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't seek out grant writing experience, which is something you can do, but at that time I didn't know about it. So just looking, within your school, within your county, within your state,
Mhm.
for resources, because there are a ton out there.
Yeah. So did you go to a particular website for grants? Because I know like there's some that you have to pay for, there's some that are free, or you can go like to your library, like the
Hmm.
public library website. So did you use a particular site for it?
Um, it gets really tricky because I'm mentoring a few individuals who are looking to getting in the beauty vending industry.
Mhm.
And something that we're working on right now is looking for grants. But one person is in Virginia, one person is in Maryland, and one person is in, different states. So
Yeah.
for example, my mentee that is in, I believe it's Virginia, they don't have counties. It's like
Oh,
really, yeah, so it's like
okay.
it's a different setup. So it definitely depends on whatever state you're in. I would say for me, since I'm in Clinton Township, Michigan, which is in Macomb County of
Okay.
Michigan, I looked on the Macomb County small business website. So
Okay.
like just play around with the words like that. If you have a county, blank county small
Yeah.
business websites or small business grants.
Yeah.
Or if you don't have counties, you can just look within your state. So Georgia State grants. Another website that you can use that's universal, no matter what state you're in, is I believe grants.gov.
Yeah.
And they have a ton of grants on there as well. You can kind of like filter out which ones apply to you and which ones don't.
I do know of Grant Watch. That one is free, but there's also parts of it where you have to pay too. Grantwatch.com. That one is pretty exhaustive. And so
Yeah.
if you can type in whatever your specialties are, or whatever that you're looking for,
Hmm.
that one is a good one. Yeah. And then Hello Alice is really good. Hello Alice, there's sign up for that. There's tons of grants and different contests on that. And then also Tori Birch, like
Hmm.
the designer Tori Birch. So like yeah, like she's really big into not just fashion but also business. So those are the couple sites that I've been to that send me emails about grants and different things like that.
Hmm.
So that's a good point. That's a good point.
I think
And
that.
honestly, like I didn't really you know, didn't really know a lot about grants until the last year or so. My mentor was like, she kind of put me onto the grant thing. Like I didn't really know anything about it. Like the PPP loan was like probably like my first grant. That's kind of a grant, like you don't have to pay it back.
Mhm.
And then because of COVID, a lot of micro businesses and small businesses were getting access to grants. So I didn't really know. But I will say that it is overwhelming because, some of the questions are kind of easy. Oh, there's another one called, I think, women's something.net. I forget
Mhm.
the name of it. I forget that that's another place like for women's business. But anyway, it can be overwhelming, like when you're trying to come up with these ideas and write stuff down and like tell us about your business and how is it structured and how much money did you make last year. You got, and you just it's daunting, then you just don't do it.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. So I know for me, it's been really helpful to have people that can help me focus for one thing and then kind of compartmentalize stuff for me where I can put it, onto paper and then I can just, copy and paste to the next copy and paste to the next application and then, you're good to go.
Yeah.
But let me look. I think I might have had another
That's what
question, but I think, I think information is important. And I honestly feel that there's too many gatekeepers out there.
yeah.
You know, there's
Yeah.
too many gatekeepers out there and there's too many people that I feel that whatever your measure of success is in life, when you reach that, I feel that you have a responsibility to look behind you and see who you can bring with you. That's just my mindset on things. And so, like I said, there's a lot of gatekeepers out there who get to a position to where it's like, you know what, I'm here now. I don't really want to share with nobody.
Mhm.
It may not even be a trade secret. It could just be something basic, but just because they know, they don't want to tell you. And I ran into that and it's been very frustrating. But on the flip side, I've been surrounded by an amazing team of women that have been unselfish, that are C-level, C-suite type, to, me working behind the chair. And that's a small business owner. And I think we need that. We need to see, I forget Beyonce's song, like, women like run the world, that song. I forget the lady who quotes that's in her song, but she's like, like we've been raised up to see women as competition, not
Yeah.
as, not as working together.
Mhm.
So no, like we need to work together more because there's strength in numbers.
Exactly. Exactly.
There's strength in numbers and there's more than enough out there for us to eat. Okay, so let me
I
see.
wish more people felt like that. A
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean,
lot of gatekeepers.
I mean, when you go to the store, how many different types of breads or toilet paper
Mhm.
or pop, or whatever your favorite is, you see? I mean, there's a variety, but at the same time, most of the stuff is only owned by probably a handful of companies, but they have their own private brand.
Exactly.
I mean, really, it's strange, but I don't know if you had any questions for me, Mia, but I'm looking through the list that I sent here to you. I think you answered it. So I think you're being a little bit modest too. So are you dabbling a little bit in Airbnb too? Just a little bit?
Firstly, I am so sorry if you can hear my dogs in the background. I'm
Uh-uh.
trying to tune them out. Okay, thank you. They're driving me crazy back here. But um so yes, I had an Airbnb in Atlanta
Uh-huh.
and I really love the experience. For context, I know I mentioned it, but I'm in Michigan and I don't know why, but I decided to get my Airbnb in Atlanta. So, as you can imagine, and going back
Yeah.
to what you talked about earlier, kind of like delegating tasks to other people and bringing on people to your team,
Yeah.
that was a struggle for me and something that I wasn't comfortable doing just yet at that point.
Sure.
I got the Airbnb about in 2021, so about 2 years ago. Oh, March 2021, so about 2 years ago.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, at that point, um, in my life and just starting, I was like, I'm not quite ready to fully just trust someone with coming down here and cleaning my Airbnb, especially with me being so far away in Michigan. I mean, it's a 10-hour drive away and
Yeah.
a 2-hour flight. So during that time, I would either, drive down to Atlanta and stay down
Wow.
there. Yeah, and it's a 10 hour,
Wow.
or the 10 hours down there and 10 hours back. And then, or I would fly down there every other week. And it was a lot, especially I was still in undergrad. I mean, granted, it was,
That's expensive.
yeah, it's expensive, one. And then two, I had a class and I was trying to like work around class, and it was just a lot at the time. So I let go of the one in Ann Arbor, or not Ann Arbor, in Atlanta. I was like, this isn't gonna work. It's too far. So if I ever do Airbnb again, this is what I told myself. I'm gonna start in Michigan. Start somewhere where it's not too far.
Yeah.
And I can get to it quick enough. If there's any issues, I can go there. There was a bunch of issues in Atlanta, like people were locking themselves out, people were flooding the apartment. And I'm just
Oh,
like,
wow.
so it was a mess. But to go back to your question, so this goes back to like setting your business up correctly.
Mm.
Despite, Innovending being a, vending machine company and a beauty vending machine company, because we structured our company correctly, like, and we built our business credit and we took our time with Innovending, we were able to, apply for a loft in Ann Arbor, and we're kind of going to use that loft for, I
Nice.
don't think Airbnb, but probably just
Short-term
renting out
rentals, some
to,
type
yeah,
of,
short-term
yeah.
rental, yeah, like renting out to nurses and
Yes.
doctors right by like the U of M hospital. So we're working on that right now.
Love
Um,
it.
Airbnb, they have changed since
Yeah.
2020. There are a lot of new rules and things like that. So we're kind of looking into other avenues to still get back into short-term renting to people,
Mhm.
but trying to find creative ways to do it. So
Yeah,
that
and I think that's, to be honest with you, with every crisis, there is something amazing that comes out of it, right?
yeah.
And COVID, I think, has proven to have produced a lot of creative and just like out of this world stuff, because you have to. I mean, check
Mhm.
this. I mean, we'll never get that 3 months again of just complete solitude, of not doing anything, just, trying to keep our brains focused from all the chaos and the pain that we were seeing 3 years ago.
Yeah.
How can you funnel all of that into something worthwhile? And I think that's what we're seeing now
Mhm.
coming out of it. And so kudos to you,
And
and your partner Rico.
thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, that's really good. I want to ask you though, so with the business credit, like how does that work? I know you have to have a DUNS number, but as far as like applying for certain things, like how does that work? And is it hard?
Um, I won't say it's not hard at all. Um, okay, I'll start from the beginning. So again, with this business, vending, I still set it up partly incorrectly. I
Mm.
say incorrectly because I put my home address, and you're not supposed to put your home address. So, after, talking with a lot of individuals who are already in business and know about business credit, I got more information on, they're called like virtual business addresses that you can get. Um,
Yes.
it's kind of like, they call it a virtual address, but you can actually go into the buildings. Like, it's an actual office building. You can go in,
Yeah.
get your mail. If you can host meetings there if you want to.
Yeah.
So I've been using that,
Okay.
and use that as, our, business address, starting out. And
Mhm.
then once we changed that address over, then we were able to start applying for, we started with net 30 accounts. There are mixed reviews about net 30 accounts. Some believe that, they're helpful. Some believe they're kind of like a waste of money. It depends which net 30 businesses you go with.
Okay.
I know there are Quill is one of them.
How do you spell that?
Quill.
Oh, Quill. Okay.
Yeah, Quill is one of them. Um, can't think of some other ones on the top of my head. I can send you some
Okay.
more. But yeah, there are quite a few like actual, I think Granger is how you pronounce it. That's another one. You can go for like tools and toilet paper, different
I've
supplies
heard of
like
Granger,
inside
yeah.
of your business. Yeah. So those type of net 30 accounts to like build the foundation starting out. And then once you know, build that foundation with the net 30 accounts for about 30 to 60 days,
Mhm.
then you can start applying to like Sam's Club. Sam Club has a business store card, and they also have a business MasterCard. So like cards like that. I know JC Penney has like a business card. They have gas cards for businesses.
Mhm.
Um, what else is there? There are a ton of business cards. Those are some of the ones I can think of on the top of my head.
Like Capital One Spark.
Yeah, the Capital One Spark. There's some Chase business cards. With that though, with Capital One, Spark, Bank of America, um, I think Huntington has one. With those ones, I believe like the owner of the business has to personal guarantee the card. So like
Uh,
it'll also appear on your like the business owner's credit as well. So we've tried to stay clear away from that.
mhm.
Um, so we've been trying to get cards where we don't have to personal guarantee it and just have our business as the sole entity
Yeah.
on the credit card. And for example, that's how, so the loft that we have right now, the only entity on there is Innovending. It doesn't say Mia, it doesn't say Rico, it just says Innovending. So
Yeah.
Innovending is responsible for the rent payments every month, even though
So you were
crazy
able,
amount.
yeah, I mean that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you were able to obtain the loft through like and you don't have to go into details, but through like
Mhm.
personal or through financing or through like loans or through the card. Like what was the process for that?
Yeah, so the loft, it's like an apartment. So it's we didn't purchase the loft, we're leasing the loft in our
Okay.
business name. So
Okay.
but we were able to obtain it because they say it's building business credit is like in tiers. So like tier
Yeah.
one is like the net 30 accounts. Tier two is like the gas cards. Tier three is
Okay.
like those higher level like credit cards. Like if you were to get Chase or like, the Sam's Club MasterCard, like things like that are like tier three. They say once you reach tier three and you've had tier three for about 30 days, then you can start applying for things like apartments and homes and cars, like things like that. So that's kind of how we built it. I think we built our business credit up for about 6 months.
Okay.
Um, and we were able to obtain the loft or lease the loft after. So when did we lease the loft? We leased the loft in October of last year.
Okay.
Um, and that was probably like, yeah, about 6 months of
Okay.
us building our business credit.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
good. That's
Yeah.
good. So I've enjoyed because I know like we because we could I could talk forever about business because like I love it. But like I said, this is Women's History Month, but for me, I want to celebrate women in business and especially, young entrepreneurs, like ourselves that are just starting out and that are doing
Yeah.
like, some really cool things and that are innovative
Mhm.
and just kind of building this community because like we need each other,
Yeah.
we need each other and just to kind of be a support. So thank you for being a part of this and
Thank
for
you.
sharing your story and little gems and different things like that. So if people want to reach out to you, if they want to, because I know you mentioned something about your mentor, your mentees, like
Mhm.
if they want to be a part of your class or anything like that, how does that work?
Yeah, so my website where you can sign up for mentorship if you're interested is www.innovending.net. Innovending is Innovending. I know it's a funny word, but we kind of did a play on words there. And then if you would like to reach out to me or anything like that, you can reach me at my TikTok, and my TikTok is Mia Kimura. That's Kimor with two A's. And yeah, I think
That's
my email and everything is attached to my TikTok as well. Email, website, everything you need is on there.
That's awesome. I love it. Thank you. And once again, this is Melanie Day with You've Got Curls and Hair Loss Center. And as always, we're bringing to you great information about hair care, beauty, things about life in general, and some of my passions, which is obviously business is one of my passions. So be sure to follow me in all of my social media handles. And also too, if you're interested in having one of our beauty product machines in your school and your campus, definitely check us out on www.ugotcurlz.com for more information. But happy to have this conversation with Mia. And until next time, bye everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.